Welcome to day 2 of Python Basics for Hackers, where we learn Python from a cybersecurity hacker perspective. Yesterday we left off and we had looked at some basics of Python. We're going to continue on that today, but we're going to get a little bit more sophisticated. We're going to first of all start looking at how to connect, make a networking connection with Python, and we'll continue to use some of the tools and techniques that we've uh, introduced into some of. Angus is here too. All right, things are moving. Okay, so with that having been said, we'll. I want to cover a little bit of material, and then we'll get into writing some more scripts. All right. Let's go flip through here. And let's see, we're talking about flow control. Okay, some of the flow control we looked at is if then, if else, elif, while. Okay, while I want to do a little bit with while today. We did a for loop. We'll be using break today. Importing modules, we'll be doing that as well today. We'll be looking at importing sockets. Lists, we talked about those yesterday. Some of the methods of list, tuples, dictionaries. Okay, probably the most important data structure in Python. Allows us to associate values with keys. All right, such as we could create a dictionary called services and then associate the string FTP to 21, SSH to 22, SMTP to 25, what have you. All right. All right. This is what we're going to be doing today, networking with Python. To create a network connection in Python, we need to use the socket module. We learned in the previous Python tutorial that Python comes with a library of modules for a multitude of tasks. In this case, we'll need the socket module to create a TCP connection. Okay. And that's what we're going to be doing here shortly. Functions. Here's some of the functions. Remember that there's a lot of functions. I put up a few of them on the screen yesterday. All right, and here's some more. Some of these are repeats from yesterday. Exit, float, help, int, length, max, open, range, sorted, type. Okay. Exceptions. All right. Each time something goes wrong, Python stops your program. This is called raising an exception. Exceptions are errors that Python detects during execution. All right. We can use those for making a decision, okay, about our particular algorithm. All right. We have what's called the try except. All right. We can use a try except block to resolve exception handling. So we can go ahead and create what's called a try. So try to do these various tasks, okay, in our block of code, all right? And if an error takes place, then go out and do the except. When an error happens, the exceptions manager captures the error and prints a message. The try keyword begins a block that may or may not perform correctly. Okay, if it doesn't, it'll go out to the except. This can be a way of both handling errors, but also can be a way of creating logic within the program, as we'll see. If the code block fails, Python looks for a solution. Okay, the except keyword starts a piece of code that will be executed if the try block fails. So do all this, try to do all this, and if an error takes place, go leave that code and go out to the except code. More socket. Okay, create a network connection. We need to use the socket module. We learned earlier, we already saw all this. The socket module takes two options, the socket family and the socket type. The one we're going to be using here, okay, is going to be the IPv4. So it's called AF INET 4. Okay. The second option is the socket type. In this case, it's going to be a sock stream or TCP style sockets. This is going to be the most common type of socket. Socket methods. Okay. We can have the socket receive. It receives data from the socket. The method argument is the maximum amount of data. Socket sends bytes of data to a specified target. Socket close releases the memory and closes the connection. Socket bind, okay, with the argument of the address, allows us to connect to the address, and we'll be using this shortly. Socket listen accepts the parameter of maximum amount of connections. That's what the count is there. And socket accept allows us to accept connections. So that's the socket module. We also have the OS module. It's the best way to access different functions in the operating system. Some examples include OS get CWD, gets the current working directory path. All right. So if we have to import OS. Okay, and then once we import OS, we can use these various methods within our code. OS list directory obtains the file names and directories in the current working directory. OS systems allows us then to execute a shell command. So once we use OS system, we can go ahead and execute, say, an ifconfig, what have you, or cd, what have you. Sys module allows you to interact with the interpreter, the Python interpreter. Contains most of the info related to the execution in progress. Okay, so we started yesterday talking about building a banner grabbing tool. We'll be getting back to this very shortly. And here's some more on dictionaries. We talked about those. Okay, so let's go ahead and open up our, in this case, we're going to open up Kali. And let's open up our text editor. And we had left off the random script. Hey, Kojo's here. We're doing well now. The random script was a for loop. Remember that? All right. Let's see if we can take a look at it. For I in range. And then we just printed off random numbers. Okay. Before we move on to our next script, I want to show you one more conditional statement, and that's the while conditional statement. All right. So what we're going to do is create a very quick and dirty while statement, just so you can see how it works. I'm going to put in a comment, my first while statement. All right, and then we're going to go print, create a print statement, and go my name is. And then we're going to create a variable called I and set it equal to 0. Of course, the white space basically is skipped in Python, right? So I'm just adding white space to make it easier for you to see it. I'm going to go actually and see if I can zoom in a little bit here and help make it a little bit easier to see. Where's that zoom in? Guess I can't in this particular text editor. In any case, I'll keep on adding white space to help you read it. All right. So we're going to create a while statement. Just going to go ahead and run through a loop. Let's say we're going to go while I, okay, is less than, say, 10. Okay. Then we're going to indent, go print. Let's see. My name is OTW. Okay, it's kind of a repeat of what we have above. And then we're going to go ahead and create a string. Okay, so we're going to use the function, the string function, to go ahead and convert I, which is a number, right, into a string. Convert the number I into a string. And put a space in there to make it human readable. And let's see, my name is, I'm going to change the message here. Say OTW, this is the while iteration. Okay. And then, of course, we have to increment the I each time we go through. So we're going to go I plus 1. Okay. So my first while statement, so it's going to be my name is, okay. It's going to set I equals 0, and it's going to run this through 10 times, right? And I'm going to go ahead and save it. We'll call it my while iteration. And let's put a PY at the end of it so we get color coding. All right. And we remember that it's a Python script. Okay. Let's go back over here. And let's do ls-l. It should be, it's under my while. Let's go over there and make sure that we have, I put a space in it again. Shoot. All right, I'll have to live with it. No, I'm not going to live with it. I'm going to change it. It just makes, putting spaces in just always makes it difficult. Here it is. I'm going to go my while iterations. I put, looks like there must be a space there. I'm going to go resave it without a space. Save. Okay. Easy to work with without a space. So I got to go sudo change mod 755 my while iteration py. All right, now we can go ahead and execute it. Python 3 my while iteration. Oh, okay. What's the problem? Okay, I forgot to put the colon after the while statement. You know, I make these errors just to help you out, right? Actually, I could very well just simply cut and paste these scripts and put them on the screen for you. But part of learning to code in any language is to learn how to debug the code. So that's why I'm just not copying and paste. I'm going to make errors, and we're going to figure out what I did wrong, okay, from our error messages. And that's a big part of being a successful coder, is being able to determine what you did wrong. So I'm going to leave my errors in, and we'll decode them. We'll decode our errors as we go. Okay, try again. All right, did I have, let's see, end of line while scanning string literal. Let's see what's going on there. Okay, OTW. This is the while iteration. Okay. I've got too many quotation marks there. Okay, let's go and look. We got open, and we're going to close, and we're going to close this one here. Yeah. Okay. And we'll try again. You know, if you're not used to these error messages, these can be pretty cryptic. So end of line while scanning string literal. There we go. And now we've got it going through 10 iterations, right? Starting with I is equal to 0 through 9, so that's 10, right? Now, of course, we can make various changes to that. Let's go ahead and, of course, we can change the number, okay, and do more iterations, right? We can go less than or equal to, right? And of course, that'll get us 11 iterations. Let's try that. Right, less than or equal to, so it goes ahead and does the 10th one. Okay, so that's our while statement. Next, what I want to do, so we want to use these types of conditional statements, okay, in being able to create some scripts that'll do various tasks for us. So let's go ahead and create a new one, open a new one. And what we're going to do here is we're going to create we started yesterday, I showed you how to do a banner grab. Let's go make sure that we can still do a banner grab. And then we're going to write a Python script to be able to do a banner grab. All right. Let's close this one. Let's open a new one. Let's make sure that we can connect to our other system. See if we can ping. Is it 192, 168, 103? Let's make sure I have the right IP address over here. It's 102. Okay. All right. Let's ping 102. Okay. So we don't have a connection between these two right now. Let's see what's going on. Let's go sudo. Yeah, before we try creating a tool to do anything, we've got to make sure we can actually talk to each other. All right. This is 106. And what was that other one? 100, 102. All right, they should be able to talk to each other. Let's make sure, check our network. It's connected to the Hackers Arise network. Good. Okay. And then our OWASP machine. It's also connected to yet they're not talking to each other. All right. Oh, let's go try. Oh, it changed IP addresses overnight. That's why. You can see it's now 192.168.107. Okay, so that's why we're not able to ping it. Still, my bad on the IP address. Let's go. It's 107. Destination unreachable still. I think I still have the IP address wrong. It should be 7. 107. There we go. Slow start this morning. I need another cup of coffee. All right. Brain is entirely engaged. All right, so we know that we can talk to these two machines now. We have the right IP addresses. And as I was showing yesterday, we can create a simple TCP connection to the port and do a banner grab. It'll go ahead and present its banner to us. We can use Netcat for that purpose, like this right here. 192.168.107, port 22. So hopefully you're familiar with Netcat. Netcat will create a simple TCP connection. And when it does make the simple connection, the port will present its information to us. This is essentially what Shodan does in very simple terms, all right? And there you can see it presents its banner to us. Now what we want to do is to create a tool in Python that will do the same thing, all right? So that's our goal here. Let's go ahead and we're going to start off, and let's go ahead and put a comment in. It says this is our first simple, okay, TCP. It's actually a TCP client is what we're creating. Okay, first TCP client that will grab and store. It's very similar to Netcat. We'll grab and store the banner. We're going to grab the banner and store it in a variable. Okay. Step number 1, okay, is we have to import socket. Okay. We're going to keep this real simple, and then we'll go ahead and advance it as we go along. Okay, we're going to create a variable called S, and we're going to assign it socket dot socket. Okay, we're instantiating the socket. All right, very simple. And then we're going to go and do a connect. Okay, we're going to do S connect. We're going to use a connect method, okay, with our socket. And then we're going to go ahead and hard code. And later on, we'll make some changes to this. We're going to hard code the IP address. 192.168.107. All right, remember it has to be between quotation marks, right? Because it's a string. And then let's talk about port 22. Okay, so we're telling it we want to go ahead and make a connection to that IP address on that port. Okay, and then we're going to create a variable called answer. Okay, we're going to store the answer, and that's going to be using the socket and the receive method. And we'll say we'll allow it to do 1,024 bytes. All right. Remember, we looked at the receive, and we can define with that argument how many bytes it can actually receive. And then we're going to go ahead and print the answer. And then we're going to close the socket. All right. Okay, so our first TCP client, basically all we're doing is we're creating a simple, we're using the socket to make a simple TCP connection to the other system. And in this case, we're going ahead and capturing what the other system presents to us and then print it out. All right. At least we're going to print out the first 1,024 bytes of it. Let's go ahead and save that. Let's see, we're going to call this, TCP banner grab. All right. So we're going ahead and making a TCP connection and grabbing the banner, MPY. This is look at, now we have it color coded, make sure that we see if we have anything that's obviously an error. Doesn't look like it. All right. Let's go ahead and try running it. First step, of course, is to give ourselves a execute permissions. What's it called? TCP banner grab. Banner grab PY. Okay. Now let's go ahead and execute it. Syntax error. Okay. Import command not found. Line 7, there's a problem with my socket. Let's take a look at it. If you see something obvious, let me know. I'm not well, let's define our socket here. Okay, socket. Yeah, Kojo says go ahead and put in the, let's do that. Put in the shebang in there. Python 3. Yeah, let's go ahead and define our socket a little more precisely. We're telling it this is the type of socket we want to use. This is the IPv4 socket. And the sock stream then tells it that we're going ahead and using a simple TCP. All right, this is Angus. No module error here, but getting only one argument, 2 given below. Okay. So Angus says he's got no module error, but getting only one argument, 2 given below, by the way. Okay. Let's go ahead and save this and try again. Okay, let's see what it says here. File, Kali, Vandergraph, module, line 9, S-connect. Takes exactly one argument, 2 given. Is that what you were saying, Angus? Yeah, okay, that's what you were saying. Let's see, what do we got going on here? Let's take out trying to connect to port 22. Let's try again. Let's take out, it says it only takes one argument. How are we going to define our port then? Back and run it again. It says connect. Okay, AFINet address must be a tuple, not a string. Let's try that. Still give me a problem with the 2 arguments. Let's see. Give me a second here and see if I can figure out what we're doing wrong here. Like I said, if you see it, let me know. Okay, let's see. We're going ahead importing socket. Okay, then we're creating the socket. That all looks good so far. The S-connect. I think I know. I think I just figured it out. Okay, should be a double quotation marks around it, double parenthesis. Okay, let's see. And then let's go and save it. There we go. Okay, one of those errors that isn't always obvious. Okay, so what the problem was is that you had to have both the IP address and the port. Okay, and it has to be a tuple. All right, so it has to be the IP address and the port enclosed within parentheses. And now what we've gone ahead and done is we've connected to that system. We've received the answer up to 1024 bytes, and we've printed the answer. Okay, very simple. We could do this for other ports as well. I mean, we could simply hard code it for that, or we could go ahead and create some variables to do the same thing. So for instance, right, so we could create a variable called TCP address, okay, and we could set it equal to, in this case, 192.168, 107, okay, but then we could always prompt the user, okay, for port is equal to, say, 22, all right? Then we could go ahead and put those in here, okay, go TCP address, and call it port here, all uppercase, okay. Adding a little complexity, not much, but a little. Let's go ahead and save it. And then let's go ahead and try running it again. Okay. Error, name or service not known. Did I mess up the IP address? I mess up the, okay, address. Take out, remember that we were using the quotation marks for the IP address. Let's go ahead and take those out. Let's go and try it again. There we go. Okay, because we switched from using a hard-coded IP address to switching to a variable. Okay, and now we've gone ahead and got our banner. All right. Now we could begin to add additional complexity to it by having it go through, say, multiple ports on that particular machine, right? But before we do that, let's switch over and let's build a TCP server. All right, this is a client here. So let's go ahead and switch over, and we'll come back to this one. We'll add additional complexity to this one. Let's start a new one. Okay, and let's go ahead and put our shebang in. And user in Python 3. And let's put a little comment and go, this will be our simple TCP server. So the other one was a client, all right, and now we're going to build a server, all right. Slightly more complex, but not by much, okay. Okay, here we go. Let's first of all, let's go ahead and import socket, and then we're going to put in our server IP, and we're going to set it equal to, let's set it equal just to 127.0.0.1 initially. We can always change it later. And let's go create another variable called server port. Okay, this will be the port that it's open and listening on. Let's call it 8080. Okay. Then we're going to create a variable called server. Okay. And we're going to assign it socket, and then we're defining the type of socket, right? We're saying it's a socket. It's a IPv4. That's what this is saying right here, IPv4. And we want it as a simple, okay, TCP sock stream. Okay. And then we're going to go server. We're going to use the bind method. Okay. Using a double paren, we're going to use the variables server IP, server port, double paren. All right. Then we're going to go take our server, okay, and we're going to give it a listen method, okay. Remember, listen takes the number of connections, okay, and then we're going to go ahead and let's see, what do we want to do here? We can get pretty fancy with this, but we want to keep it simple as possible, okay. Initially, we want to keep it as simple as possible. All right, let's go ahead and just create a print statement. And we're going to introduce some new concepts here. Server listening on, and then we have we're going to put in these are like placeholders for a string and for a number. Let's uppercase this. There we go. And then we're going to put in the client and the address. And server accept. We're going to print. Let's see, accepted connection from. And once again, we're going to use those placeholders, okay, for a string and for that percentage sign S for string, percentage sign D for data, and then we're going to define what we want placed in there. ADDR 0. And ADDR 1. See if I got all my parentheses in there properly. Okay, got that. And then we're this is, I want to keep this simple. It's getting a little more complex. Let's go ahead and I'm not sure that I want to go ahead and we're going to create a function next. And we haven't really gotten into creating functions yet. So maybe we should just hang on to this. Let's go ahead and save this until we've gone ahead and created functions. All right, let's go ahead and save. And we'll talk about creating functions later today or tomorrow. Let's say first, let's call it first TCP server -py. Okay. All right. Let's just quickly look it over and see if we have any obvious errors. We don't, but we're going to save this one because once again, it requires a function, and we just haven't gotten to creating functions yet. So instead, let's go ahead and create a password cracker. All right. And this is going to use some of our conditional logic, like the try and except. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. Let's create a new one. All right. Let's start off with user bin and Python 3. All right, and we'll put some comments in here. Okay, this is a FTP password cracker. Now, the reason that we're using FTP password cracking is one, because the FTP authentication is in clear text, all right? And that makes it, otherwise, if you don't have in clear text, you're going to have to go ahead and take each attempt and hash it. And, that's beyond what we're doing right now. So let's just use a FTP password cracker. And let's go ahead and create a server. And we're going to use input. And we're going to go ahead and prompt the user for the FTP server. So we're asking the user for the FTP server. We're putting that, then we're going to take that IP address and put it into a variable called server. Then we're going to use username. And we're going to, once again, take input from the user. So we're prompting the user, okay, for the username they want to attempt to crack the password for. Username, put a colon in, some space, make it readable, okay? And then we're going to have a password list. So what this is that this is going to be, we're going to ask the user for what password list they want to use. All right, input, and let's ask them path to your password list. And then they're going to have to go ahead and put in that password, just like if you've used any of the password cracking tools and in Kali. Otherwise, it's almost always going to ask you to go ahead and put in a password list to attempt to crack a password. That's what we're doing here. So basically, all we're doing here is, okay, what is the IP address? We can actually make it a little more explicit, okay? FTP server IP address. Let's do that. Okay. Just to be more explicit. And then we could say, once again, be more explicit. What username do you want to crack? Okay. Just trying to make it more user friendly. Okay. And then we're going to use our try. Okay, we talked about earlier the conditional logic. So this is what we're doing is we're going to use try statements and accepts. So we're going to go ahead and create a block of code, okay? And we're going to open up the password list and try them one after the other. And if it fails, all right, we're going to go and move on to the next one. So we're going to just tab in, and we're going to try with open, all right? Now, this is another one of those functions that we need to use is that to go ahead and open a file, okay? In this case, the file is going to be the password list, okay? And as password list, okay? And then we're going to go use our for statement for word in PW. We also need to close each of these out with a colon, right? These should not be, like, it's a caps key by mistake. For word for word in PW. And we're going to go word, and we're going to strip out any characters at the end that might be on the password list, like spaces. Okay, we use word, and the function is, the method is going to be strip. Strip out any spaces there, or carriage returns. All right, keep on going. Let's see. Then we're going to go ahead and try, create another try block. Okay, try. And we're going to use, okay, go FTP is equal to FTP lib, one of those modules that are built in to Python. And then we're going to go to FTP, another one of those. We're using the FTP module to go ahead and try to log in. Our method is login, and then we're going to use username in Word, user and Word, and we're going to go ahead and print a statement. All right, that says print. All right, either success, okay, the password is, and leave a space. All right, and then we're going to have to append the word, the password. All right, and then we're going to go through and create an accept. Remember, this is we got to line these two up, okay, to try and accept. We'll create a new block here, and in that block, it's going to, it keeps on going through each iteration. It's going to print still trying. And then we got to close out the accept above. And once again, each one of these try accepts has to end in a colon. All right, there we go. Here's accept. And let's see. We're going to go ahead and print. We'll go through this if it's not clear what's happening. As soon as I get it all entered. Word list error. Okay. I think I've got it all. Okay. So basically, we're just declaring what interpreter use. This is a FTP password cracker. We're defining a variable called server. All right, and then we're taking keyboard input, okay, from the user. So we're prompting them saying, "Hey, what?" Yes, let's be even more explicit. What is the FTP server IP address? Okay, and then we're going to prompt the user for what username do you want to crack? Okay, and then we're going ahead and creating a password list. Okay, and all we're doing is the user has to put in the entire path to the password list. And then we're going to start a try block. And in this try block, we're going to go open up the password list, okay? And then for every word in the password list, go ahead and there's a typo right there. Let's fix that. We're going to try and create a word, okay, this variable word, stripping out any stray characters such as, a leading space or a trailing space. Right? Sometimes in these password lists, you'll get some stray characters. So this is just making sure that those stray characters are stripped out. And then we're going to go ahead. And so we've got the word. Okay, we've gone through. We've got a word, stripped out all of the. We've got the password list. We've stripped out any stray characters, and then we're going to try. Okay, so we're going to go ahead first of all and create a variable called FTP. okay? And we're using the FTP lib, okay? And we're using the server IP address that we captured over here. And then we're going to go ahead and use the FTP and the login method using the user who got from here and the word, which is from right here. All right, let's get rid of the spaces here. If it's successful, okay, then it goes ahead and prints this message. If it's unsuccessful, it prints still trying. Let's go ahead and still trying. And it keeps on going through this loop, okay, on the try except until it reaches a correct password, or if it goes through the whole list, it'll come to word list. It'll drop out of this try block and print except print word list error. Okay. All right, let's go. It's a simple tool. I mean, we could design it different ways. This is using the try except. I thought it might be useful to try using the try except. We could have done it by, you know, a lot of different ways while using a while loop, for instance, or a for loop if we knew exactly how many passwords there were. This one is using the try except, so it's a reasonable use of the try except to create our logic. And I will not be surprised if there's syntax errors as we go through, but let's go ahead and give it a shot. Let's call it FTP cracker QI. Okay. Let's take a look at it. Let's see if we see anything that's obvious here. Any typos. Let's put in some comments so we better understand what's happening here. Okay. Let's put a comment here. Let's see. Create a try block that opens the password list provided by the user. And places each password into a yes, each potential password into a variable word. All right, that's what's happening here. All right, then let's put in another comment here. All right, explain what's going on here. Creates a try except block. Using the FTP module, built-in module, and attempts login with username supplied by the user and the next password on the list. Okay. Let's put a comment in here. If login is successful, print success. if login fails, okay, go to the except block and print still trying. If we come to the end of the password list without success, um, execute the accept block. That states there is a word list error. Okay. All right. I think we've got this all taken care of. Let's make sure that our blocks all line up. Looks like they do. All right, that's one of the things we'll get to later when we work with PyCharm. PyCharm actually does make sure that all of your code lines up. Let's go ahead and save it. Let's go ahead and give ourselves permission on it. Now, one of the problems we're going to run into with this is that I don't think there's a FTP server on that system, but we can still go ahead and let's go ahead and run it and see if we can do some syntax checking on it. All right. So sudo chmod 755, and this is FTP cracker py. So we can just run it, do some syntax checking on it. All right. And I'd be surprised if it works the first time through, but all right. The indentation error. Okay. Line 18. Okay. All right, let's go back to our code. Yeah, this should be indented here, like that. Okay. Let's save it again. Try running it again. That's the only problem we have. That's really good. Okay. Line 20. Word strip. Expecting an indented block. Indentation error. Let's take a look at it. These not line up. That's one of the problems with using a text editor. Well, it looks like it lines up. All right, let's see. Huh. So these are the issues that an IDE will really help save us a lot of problems with. I'm not. Let's try. This is actually should be lined up with this here. These should line up here. It may be time to go to an IDE. And then this try has to line up with this try. And these line up, of course. And let's try again. Indentation, still having a problem with that. All right. I've got 16 minutes after the hour. Let's go ahead and take a 15-minute break and we'll come back. And it may be, yeah, Av says there's a indentation error. And on line 20, that's what it's telling me. But let's go ahead and take a break. We'll come back and we'll try to resolve this. It's likely just a simple problem with indentation and getting the blocks lined up. And this is important in Python. Python requires these indentations be consistent. You define a block of code by your indentations. And this makes the point of why you want to use something like PyCharm, which we may do sooner than we expected because it would make this type of task much simpler. Let's go ahead and I'm at 17 after. We'll come back at 32 after, and we'll resolve our errors on this particular code. See you then. Okay, welcome back. And we're working on our FTP password cracker, and I can immediately see a few things that we need to correct. First of all, we never imported. All right, we needed to import that FTP lib. We never did that. All right, so didn't throw any errors yet because it hasn't gotten to that. We got to import FTP lib. Let's go through each of them. Okay, server input. Okay, what is this FTP server? That looks good. User. All right. What's the username you want to crack? That looks good. All right, password list here, path to the password list. Now notice that that's uppercase. Make sure we use the same uppercase there. All right, that looks good. The problem is with our indentation. That's what we're getting at. And this is a good example of how strictly Python enforces the indentations. So let's go make sure that this is, all right, this should be indented here. All right, that was the line that was giving us a problem, I think. Okay. Then the try needs to be indented. All right. Make sure these are all lined up. Each block of code needs to be lined up. And then we got to print the print statement. It's hard to get the indentations exactly right without something like an IDE that will track it. We're kind of eyeballing it. And then one thing we didn't do is we need to close that FTP. So we went ahead and we opened it up, okay, and then we tried to log in. If it's successful, we need to go ahead and close it. So we go FTP quit. So we need to do that. So we've got a few problems with our code here. Let's see, the accept this accept is belongs with this, right? So it needs to line up with this try, all right? And then the print statement needs to be indented like that, okay? And let's see what we have here. Then we have this accept lines up with this try. And let's see, it looks like it might work. So this try block right here lines up with this accept, okay? This block right here, which is all of the attempts at the FTP login, these all need to line up. And of course the accept block, just the print there, all right? I'm getting a message that the connection was lost. Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. Can you hear me now? I got a message that the connection was lost. Can you hear me? Give me some feedback, guys. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Yeah, you lost me. Yeah, I got a message that it was lost. Can you hear me now, though, Av? Can anybody hear me? Okay, can you hear me now? Audio, I'm holding on until we get some connection again. Can you hear me now? Okay, good. All right. Looks like we lost the connection there for a moment. We're reconnected, so I paused everything. All right. So when we left off, okay, thanks for the feedback, guys. When we left off, we were making some changes to this code, and the error message that we were getting were related to the indentations. Okay. So try to fix those. All right. And also, a couple things that I didn't do originally is I didn't put in the quit. Okay. So once it goes ahead and is success, the next step is to close the FTP module. Also, we need to import it. We didn't even import it. So we got to add both of those elements and then make sure everything is properly indented. Once again, later on we'll go to a good IDE like PyCharm that you can line things up perfectly. It'll draw lines to line up all of your code. I got a message that the audio is kind of popping. Audio's popping in and out here. Looks like. All right. So let's go ahead and try running this and see what error messages we get, if any. Hopefully, we've got everything resolved. Okay. Let's go and it's still having a problem with line 20. Did I save this? Let's go ahead and save it. Try running it again. Line 26 now. Okay, another indentation error. So looks like we resolved line 20 indentation. Now we got an indentation problem at 26, and that is right here on this try. This try should be lined up with this word. Okay, let's back this out. Okay, it should be like that. And then the accept is going to have to come back out the same way. Let's try saving it again. Once again, we're making a very strong case for an IDE, all right, where these kinds of things can easily be recognized. And it's still telling me a problem with the line 26. Line 26 is this try statement. It still isn't lined up. Okay, I'm getting a message that the audio is lost again. Okay, I think I've got them lined up. Let's try running it again. All right. Inconsistent use of tabs and spaces in indentation. Okay. So I think we're making a strong case for an IDE. So I'm gonna leave this one right here, and we're gonna come back to this one once we've installed PyCharm. Okay, because it gets really tricky trying to. Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Okay. It gets really tricky with more complex code without an IDE. So what I'm going to go back, I'm going to go create a real simple, okay, server, all right, that's going to capture information about the connections. Let's go ahead and do that. All right. Hopefully we don't lose our connection. So let's open up with user bin Python 3. Give me some heads up if you lose the connection, okay? It looks like it's coming in and out, all right? Hopefully we can, it'll stay solid for us for the rest of the class. So we're going to import our socket, okay? And then we're going to go ahead and create a variable called TCP IP. And we're going to set it equal to 192.168, whatever the IP address is of this system. I think this system is 100.6. We can check it later on. Let's get our code in first. And then just put in a port. Once again, we're putting up a server at this point, okay, using some Python, simple Python. Let's see, what port do we want to listen to on this one? Let's go 44. Okay. And then let's create a buffer. What we want to do here, if you've not seen POF, let me show you POF before we go further. I think I have it on this system. So POF -H, sudo. We're trying to create something that has a functionality of POF. You may know Michael Zalewski wrote POF. Let me see. Locate POF. No. Then let's go ahead and go apt sudo apt install POF. Doesn't see it. Maybe it's lowercase. Let's see. There it is. POF is a passive operating system fingerprinting. Okay. And what it does is that when somebody connects, I'm a little worried here that we're going to lose our connection as I'm downloading POF. Hopefully it's real quick. Okay. It's pretty small. There we go. All right. So what POF does is that it captures the user client, user agent when somebody connects to the system. And so let's go ahead and just show you what sudo POF-H. All right. So by going ahead and just running POF-I ETH0, Okay, so what it does now, Michael Zalewski, there he is. When somebody comes and connects to that system, okay, our system right now, it'll collect the user agent, which gives information about the individual who connected to the machine. It will tell us things like, what browser they're using, what applications are on their system, what operating system they're using. So a lot of that's information that is transferred to the server when you connect to it, so that the server knows a little bit about you and knows how to present the information to you. That's the whole purpose of the user agent. If you're using, a Mozilla browser versus a Chrome browser, it wants to know that so it can properly format the information for you. So, but in that information, there's a lot of information about you in there. So what we're doing is trying to create something that's very similar to that. That's our task here. All right. Just to demonstrate, I'm gonna open up another. Let's see what I'm gonna open up another virtual machine and show you what it does, what it's supposed to do. All right. Let's see. Let's open up another machine that we can has a browser on it. Let's see, what do we have here that we can use? Here's 2021. Let's use that. Okay. Boy, it looks like the audio keeps on popping in and out. Hopefully you can still see. All right. Okay, here's 2021. And what we're going to do to demonstrate what POF does is to go ahead and connect. Let's make sure that these machines can talk to each other. Okay, it's on the NAT network hackers right. Should work. Let's go do sudo ifconfig. Av says video 2. Does that mean you've lost it or you can see it? All right, so we got 105. Let's go and ping 192, 168, 106. The video has stopped. All right, these machines are talking to each other. Now it's okay. Gosh, I'm really sorry it's popping in and out like that. I'll try to go slow and keep an eye on it. So what I'm trying to do now is to demonstrate what we're trying to create in our Python script next, right? Which is a tool very similar to POF. Previously, we had created a tool that's very similar to Shodan, but only for a single port, right? Single IP, single port. So let's go ahead and open a browser, all right, here. Okay, and let's go restore a session. And let's go and try to connect to 192, 168, 106. I think that's our other machine. I got too many machines open. All right, let's go over here, make sure I have, let's go sudo ifconfig. Yeah, got the right IP address. Okay, let's actually start Apache on this. So we have something to connect to, system sudo system control start Apache 2. Okay, so now we got Apache 2 running, so we have something to connect to now. Let's go back over to the other machine and connect to that Apache. All right, this should take us there. Let's make sure we can. Secure connection failed. Let's go HTTP. There we go. Okay, there's the server on our other Kali system. Okay, so we got these two systems talking to each other. Now, let's go over and go to our original system and start POF. All right, so we got POF on this one. So we'll go sudo POF -I. So that's just interface and then ETH0. So it's going to be listening on ETH0. Now, let's go over to the other system and refresh. You see what happens here? This is what POF is doing. All right, it's collecting this information about. Okay, I'm getting a message that the screen is frozen. I'll pause for a second. All right, I think you can see it now. Okay, this is what POF does: is it gathers this information, okay, about whoever connects to it. It basically is collecting the user agent. All right, and it can tell us a lot about who is connecting to us. It tells us right here that it's a Linux 2.2 kernel. Okay, it tells us the link is either Ethernet or a modem. It tells us the port number. Okay, here it tells us that the app is Firefox. And here's the entire signature, okay, of the user. Okay, can you guys hear me? Can you hear me at all? Can you see my screen? Okay, you can see. You can hear me. Good. All right. And the screen looks like it's lagging a little bit. I'll pause here and let the. Right here, you can see the information that POF has collected about me, who has connected to the server. So this is what we're trying to achieve, something similar to this using Python. All right, let's go back to writing our code now that we know what we're trying to do. Okay, and then we're going to create a buffer. Okay, buffer size, and we're just defining the size of the buffer it's going to collect. And we'll make that into like 100 bytes. Okay. And once again, we're going to define our socket. Okay. We've imported our socket. Socket. And we're defining it as a socket.af underscore inet, which is IPv4. All right. And then socket sock stream, which defines it as a TCP connection. All right. Okay. Then we're going to tell the socket to bind at the IP address that we've defined above, okay, and the port, the TCP port that we've defined above, okay? And then we're going to tell the socket to listen, okay? We're only going to listen for one connection, and then we're going to connect. Accept. Then we're going to print our connection address. And then we're going to use a while statement, okay? And this while statement is going to collect the information. This is the only block we have to indent. So we're going to create a variable called data, and it's going to be connect. We're going to use the receive method, and we're going to tell it to receive up to 100 bytes by using the buffer size that we've defined above. And we're going to use a new one we haven't used before, the break, okay? If not data, okay, break. That means just drop out, okay, of this block of code, okay? If it continues on, okay, there is data, print, okay? Received data, and then the data that's received. And then we're going to have to go connection send data, and then finally we're going to close our connection. All right, let's take a look at it. Okay, so we're going to import socket. All right, I'm hoping you guys can still hear and see me. We're defining the IP address as 192.168.106. That's the IP address of this system. It can be, you can use any IP here, right? And then the port, we can define any port. We can define the buffer size. So this is simply defining how much data we're going to accept, all right? Then we're instantiating our socket, okay? And then we're going ahead and taking that socket and we're creating a bind, okay, using the bind method at the IP address we've defined here, and at the port we've defined here. It can be any. And then we're going to tell it we're going to listen to one connection. And then we're going to go ahead and accept the connection and then print connection address. And then we're going to create a while loop. Okay, so this is basically going to continue on unless it breaks. So using while one, okay, it's going to continue to listen until there's no data, and then it's going to break and drop out. Okay, let's go ahead and save this. We'll call this, let's call it TCP listener py. All right, so basically all we're doing here is we're creating a server that when we connect to it, it's going to grab the data from the connection and store it and print it out for us. All right, let's go ahead and very similar to what POF does. Right? POF simply goes ahead and grabs the user agent. Let's make sure, go through now, let's color coded everything and to see if we've made any mistakes. Looking good. All right, let's go ahead and see if we can run it. Let's stop POF here. And let's go sudo change mod 755. And then I got a message that the audio is dropped for a moment there. This is our TCP listener PY. All right, let's go see if we can run it now. Oops. All right, connection address ADDR. Okay, line 19. Let's take a look at that. Print connection address ADDR. Oh, there should be a comma there. That's why. Okay. Let's save it. Let's try again. And I think I did the same thing on that one. There should be a comma between that and data. Yep. Okay, we'll try running it again. I'm waiting for the video to catch up. Basically, I forgot a couple of commas between in the print statements. This is causing my error messages. And I'm waiting for, there you go. Okay, the video is caught up now. And let's try running it again. All right, let's see, line 14. The same issue we had earlier with the double quotation marks, double parentheses, I'm sorry. All right. Fix that. Try running it again. Permission error, permission denied. Let's try using sudo. Okay. Yeah, it's probably needs, in this case, yeah. Okay, now it's running. All right. So it's out there listening now for connections. So on this particular version of, well, it's going to need root privileges to open up that listener on that port. And so we had to use sudo. I'm just waiting, check to see whether or not everything has caught up. Let's go ahead and show you the final code. All right. So import socket, create a variable of an IP address. Okay. Notice the double quotation marks around the IP address. Port we've defined as 44. We've defined a buffer size as 100. We've defined our socket as an IPv4 with a simple TCP connection. We've then gone ahead and said bind, and this is this here is what causes the permission error, is that you can't open up a port on the system without having root privileges. Right? Then we're going ahead and listening. We're accepting the connection. We're printing the connection address if one takes place. And then we're going ahead and grabbing the data, okay, up to the buffer size, 100 bytes, and we can make it any size we want, okay? We're saying connect and receive. If not, break, print, receive data, okay, and then send the data and close. So this, right now, everything's working. Now we're going to test it by connecting to that port, okay? Let's go to the other system. And here's my 2020. This is, I need the other one to connect to. Here's 2021. All right. So let's go Cali. And then let's go ahead and instead of connecting to port 80, let's connect to port 44. Of course, nothing's going to come up, but over here, look what we have. Okay. Notice what we're getting from that system. We're getting the user agent just like POF did, right? Just like POF did, and grabbing the information from the connection and displaying it for us. You can see it's almost identical. It says it's coming in. It's a GET request, okay, from a browser, okay, from 192.168.106, port 44. Tells us the user agent is Mozilla 5. It tells us it's Linux x86-64, Firefox, and the rest of the information you can read. So essentially, what we've done is created a POF, right, where we can capture information about everybody who's coming to our system. Now we could, we could get more sophisticated and and be able to put all of this data, say, into a database and be able to uh, parse it and then index it so we would know all the information about what's going on in our system. Can you guys still hear me? Just want to make sure that you can still see and hear what's going on. Give me some feedback here. I'm not hearing anything from you guys. I'm hoping that you can hear me and you can see me. What we have is successfully created ourselves a POF. Are we still connected? All right, I'm gonna pause a little bit until I get some feedback. Can you see that can you see what we've created? Can you see the output that appears here at the bottom of the screen? All right, this here. So what we successfully have done is to create a simple listener that just grabs the user agent from anybody who connects to our system. Okay, let's go ahead and stop it. Let's take a different approach to this. Let's go ahead and run it again. Okay, and now it's giving me an error message already. So it's trying to create another listener. That listener is already there. Um, let's go and There's already a listener on that port. We've never closed this. It should get to here and close. Let's create it on another port. Okay, let's go. Okay, let's save it. And now let's run it. All right, so now it's listening on port 55. And we could see what happened when we used the browser. Okay, I'm seeing that it's taking a little lag between what you're seeing on the screen. What I've done is simply changed the port number on it. Okay, and now I'm going to try connecting to that port 55, but I'm going to do it via, say, Nmap, all right, and see what we get there. Remember, it's collecting the information that from the connection. This is the connection from the browser. Let's go ahead and connect it through. And you notice also that, let's go back to our code. See, this is what it sends back. It's sending back to the connection exactly what it grabbed. Let's go back to our code. All right, so this is the information that it grabbed. And then if we go back to our code, we can see that it takes the connection and sends the same data. So when we go back to the sender, all right, we get this here. All right. Now, let's see what happens. Are you leaving, or are you saying you can't hear anything? I've been having lots of issues. Now, it's snowing pretty hard right here, and I'm not sure if the video's been lost. How about everybody else? It's snowing pretty hard here, and that may be why we're losing the connection. But what I want to do next, say you lost it as well, Angus? Same. Everybody's lost it. All right, let's pause here for a moment. Let's see if we can get reconnected. Can you hear me? Is my audio still coming through? Or you lost? Yeah, you can hear me, but you're saying there's no. Yeah, you can hear me, but there's no video. Is that what you're saying? No video, or it's just slow? Angus says yes, yes. Okay, yes. That means no video at all. None. You're not getting any video. Hmm. It's frozen. Okay. So you're getting video, which is frozen. Sometimes, but you can hear me. All right. Let me just try something here. I'm going to try um, disconnecting the video and then reconnecting it again. See if that helps. Okay. Let me know if you see if it comes back for you. I disconnected the video and I've reconnected it and waiting for it to. Okay, is it back for you guys? Guillermo, still not back? Nothing. Hmm. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stop the class, and I'm going to restart everything, and I'm going to send you a new um, meeting ID so you can reconnect. Let's try it. Let's try to see if we can get everybody back in. Um, I will stop the course now, and we'll resume it in about 5 minutes. Okay, let's give that a try.